disastrous ambiguity of the words nation, nationality, race, Renan on nation. In our day one commits a serious error, one confounds nation and race, and one attributes to ethnographical or rather linguistic groups a sovereignty analogous to that of real peoples. Nations in this sense are something new in history. The establishment of a new Roman Empire or a new empire of Charlemagne has become impossible. The division of Europe is too great for an attempt at universal domination not to provoke with speed a coalition which puts the ambitious nation back within its natural limits. The idea of a difference of races in the population of France has completely disappeared with the French writers and poets after Hugues Capet. Under the crown of Saint Stephen, the Magyars and the Slavs have remained as distinct today as they were 800 years ago. The Turkish policy of separating nationalities according to religion has had the most serious consequences. It caused the ruin of the Middle East. According to certain political theorists, the nation is above all the work of a dynasty representing an ancient conquest which was first accepted and later forgotten by the mass of people. Switzerland and the United States, which arose as agglomerations of successive editions, have no dynastic basis. According to this theory, the Germans have the right to take back the scattered members of the Germanic family, even if these members do not seek annexation. This is a very great fallacy whose dominance would reign European civilization. The study of race is of great importance for the study of the history of mankind, but it has no place in politics. Languages are historical formations, which tell us very little about the race of those who speak them. Language may invite us to unite, but it does not compel us to do so. Let us not abandon the fundamental principle that man is a rational and moral being before he is penned up in this or that language. The community of interests is certainly a strong tie among men. But are interests sufficient to create a nation? I do not believe it. Nationality is something sentimental too, it is body and soul at the same time. A custom union is not a fatherland. A nation is a soul, a spiritual principle. One lies in the past, one in the present. One is the possession in common of a rich legacy of memories, the other is present-day consent. Nothing is absolute, clearly, certain concessions must be made to necessity. But these concessions should not go too far. Otherwise everybody would demand what is strategically convenient to and a war without end would ensue. The nation, like the individual, is the culmination of a long past of endeavors, sacrifice, and devotion. The desire to live together, the will to perpetuate the value of the heritage that one has received in an undivided form. Of all cults, that of the Ernest Renan, what is a nation? Is the most legitimate. More valuable by far than common customs posts and frontiers is the fact of sharing, in the past, a glorious heritage and regrets. These are the kinds of things that can be understood in spite of differences of race and language. I spoke just now of having suffered together, and, indeed, suffering in common unifies more than joy does. The wish of nations is, all in all, the sole legitimate criterion, the one to which one must always return. A nation never has any real interest in annexing or holding on to a country against its will. We have driven metaphysical and theological abstractions out of politics. What then remains? Man with his desires and his needs. Nations are not something eternal. They had their beginnings and they will end. A European confederation will very probably replace them. At the present time, the existence of nations is a good thing, a necessity even. Their existence is the guarantee of liberty, which would be lost if the world had only one law and only one master. A large aggregate of men creates the kind of moral conscience which we call a nation. So long as this moral consciousness gives proof of its strength by the sacrifices which demand the abdication of the individual to the advantage of the community, it is legitimate and has the right to exist. Consult the populations in the areas under dispute. They undoubtedly have the right to a say in the matter. Consult the populations, for heaven's sake. How naive! A fine example of those wretched French ideas which claim to replace diplomacy and war by childishly simple methods.